This is NHTV2, North Haven Government Television, a service of North Haven Community Television. The following program is brought to you through the support of the Town of North Haven.
Good evening. Welcome to the April 2021 meeting of the Board of Police Commissioners for Town of North Haven. My name is Larry Lazaroff, Chairman. To my left is Robin Wilson, Vice Chairman. To my right, Mark Calafiore, Secretary. Commissioner Alden Mead, Commissioner Robert Hannon. I'd like to start by asking for approval of the minutes of the March 23rd, 2021 meeting, both regular and executive session. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. Mr. Secretary, do we have any correspondences?
Mr. Chairman, we do not.
We do not.
But as always, we always encourage the public to send us any pieces of mail.
Good.
Thank you.
Okay, so for the Chairman's report, I'd like to state that I did attend the pension meeting for the police department, and it's in fine shape, so I'm happy to report that. I'm going to report that Officer Novak, who was sworn in last month, has since changed his mind and has retired or resigned, and I'm sure Chief will get into that. I'd like to remind the community to please lock your cars, your doors, your sheds, again, because we're having an increase in these instances, and we can help prevent these things by keeping our property locked and secured. I'd also like to remind the public, my sign just fell, that there is a referendum in May, and we are asking for 3 new officers, and I hope that you all show up to support the budget.
What is the date on the referendum?
May, does anybody know the date offhand?
May 18th.
May 18th.
May 18th.
Just to inform the public that there will be concerts on the green this summer. We're happy to report that. And there will be some modifications. There'll be no vendors, and there'll be no antique cars to allow us to have some more social distancing and to be safe. So I hope we all can enjoy those concerts. And that's about it for myself. So to that, I will pass it along to the Chief.
Thank you. I'll start with our budget for an update. Currently, we're at 77.5% expended. If you refer to the budget that has been issued, you may notice that some lines in the budget are in excess of 100%, which we obviously don't like. Just a quick explanation on that. The water and electricity line, basically we're still getting to know our building here. We didn't ask for any increases prior to moving in, so now that we have a good grasp of how much things actually cost to run and maintain the building, we've made the proper request for next year's budget. The traffic maintenance line is over 100%, and that's due to several repairs to traffic signals, that were not anticipated. One was a crash that was not covered under insurance, and 2 storms damaged traffic signals that we have to pay for. The other lines were directly impacted by COVID-related costs, and we're trying to pursue some funds through FEMA to offset those lines. With that said, overall, we're about 3% under budget at this point. So we're in very good shape. I anticipate not having any problem coming in under budget prior to June 30th. The fiscal year 21-22 budget request was presented by First Selectman Frida. That was on April 6th, and that was a virtual meeting. There will be a budget town meeting in person on May 10th at 7 p.m. And that's going to be at the North Haven High School in the auditorium. At that time, the public will have an opportunity for comments and questions regarding the proposed budget. And as the chairman stated, the referendum is scheduled for May 18th. Any commissioners have any questions in regards to either this year's budget or the proposed budget?
Pretty straightforward. Let's see.
On the traffic report, milling and paving has started throughout town, so I'd like to remind drivers to use caution in these areas as catch basins and manholes may be above grade during that project. Please don't damage your vehicles driving over those. Also look out for officers directing traffic and construction crews. The DOT has conducted an evaluation, a traffic study for proposed housing development at 343 Clintonville Road. I believe I sent out the information. They don't want to print it out. It's about 40 pages as far as the traffic study. They believe there will not be a substantial traffic impact. I concur with their findings, and I just like to ask for consideration of a motion to approve their recommendation.
So moved. I make a motion to approve the recommendation, the
Yes.
traffic study at, was it 343
343.
Clintonville Road?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have submitted a special event application to the state, and that's for the Memorial Day Parade to use Maple Avenue and Church Street. That parade is scheduled for May 29th. We'll be participating as we always do. So I don't think we heard back from the state yet, but it should not be a problem. And the deputy chief has a few traffic-related items to report.
There's two projects in town, both being done by the Providence and Worcester Railroad. They're the railroad company that runs the line that goes from, I believe it's up in 68 Wallingford, the Tilcon plant. It runs Process Stone down to Branford. It cuts across Pond Hill Road in Wallingford, Clintonville Road, North Haven, State Route 22, and then it goes across Layden Avenue. If you remember, I believe it was either last year, I believe might have been last year or 2 years ago, they did a project where they had to shut down the Mill Road crossing for a long weekend from Friday morning to Monday morning. They're in the process of upgrading 2 more crossings, which are going to create an inconvenience for some of our town residents. The first one coming up is May 7th, Friday. They usually start first thing in the morning, and it's scheduled to go through May 10th, which is Monday. And that's going to be at the railroad crossing on Layden Avenue, where Layden Avenue meets Spring Road. It's going to be a complete closure. There's no way they can do it. They have to replace the whole section of line that runs across the roadway. They do that in one whole section. So it's going to be enclosed for that entire weekend. There'll be signage out, and we'll have an officer stationed there. And
Excuse me,
then,
just one question. Do they notify the residents of that area like ahead of time?
I don't know if they do specifically. They'll have signage out and stuff like that. I know I had a conversation with Sergeant D. Pascal as far as notifying, trying to get that out on our social media, getting something at the local paper, trying to notify our funeral homes, which have a tendency to use Spring Road to get to All Saints Cemetery.
So you will put it on your Facebook and Instagram ahead of time to give them, because I see the people follow it quite.
I'll see Sergeant D. Pascal on Thursday, and I'll just remind him
Great, thank you.
to get it out there. And then the other one is going to be more of an inconvenience, only because it's a busier roadway, and that's the railroad crossing on Clintonville Road. It's in the 400 block, pretty much between Sachem Drive, where Clintonville School is, and the intersection of Mill and Bassett with 22. That's going to be May 14th, again, Friday morning. They'll be shutting the roadway down, and hopefully through May 17th, which is Monday. Normally they're weekend projects, and they work not around the clock, but they work until they get.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yes. The State Department of Transportation is involved in that. So hopefully they will have the appropriate signs out with advance notices, because truck traffic is not something we want to encourage on the secondary roads to kind of run around that intersection. So
That's the one right by Ace's school? Is that the,
it's on Clintonville Road.
right on Clintonville?
Yeah,
That's
just
what I was talking about.
the main crossing
Yep.
there by Mike's Automotive, the
Yeah,
gas
exactly.
station,
I was
and
gonna say, yeah.
Tuscanville and stuff like that. So that's a major thoroughfare
That's
from
huge.
people coming in from
North
Branford,
North
Texas,
Durham, yeah.
91 and stuff like that. So Sergeant D. Pascal, like I said, the state has been involved in that, in the planning process from the beginning. So it's my understanding that they'll have some advanced warning signs out, for truck traffic to detour, up to Route 68 or down to Middletown Avenue, again, to try and head off some of the, the heavier commercial vehicles on our secondary roads. And then did you want me to Cloudland Road?
Sure.
The other project is Based on some, the complaints that we've got from some of the residents that have been directed to Sergeant DePascale in traffic, we asked the State Department of Transportation to take a look at some of our signage on Cloudland Road, pretty much between Middletown Avenue and it includes Horseshoe Hill Road to the East Haven Town Line. They made some recommendations, I believe in your packet is the state report, and Sergeant DePascale prepared a pretty detailed report with some photographs. We would look for a motion from the police commission to accept the recommendations of the state. It's basically just to upgrade our signs and to replace some of them with things that are more specific to some of the roadway concerns up there.
Right, so to be clear, these are recommendations mandated by the state, not by DePascale himself. This is actually by the state investigation and their determination as to what should be done.
Right, the state came out and looked at
We're
it.
just, assuming we comply, which we'll see what happens, we're just following their orders or their rules.
Exactly.
Can anybody like to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make the motion that we put the signage up on Cloudland where the state recommends it. Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So approved.
Thank you.
Thanks. Just an update on Kalia, Lieutenant Thor.
Excuse me one
attended-
second, I
Sure.
have one quick question. Does anybody know when that Sackett Point Road construction area will be done
I don't.
by Universal? No?
Touching back on Kalia, Lieutenant Thorpe attended the Spring Kalia Conference that was virtual and occurred March 23rd through March 25th. Just a good opportunity to learn any of the updates, updated standards and where Kalia is going to keep us on track. We're scheduled for our Year 4 assessment, May 28th through June 5th, and that's going to be virtual. I think that we're in good shape with that. I'd like to thank John Gaetani for a generous donation to our canine program recently. John's a retired Stanford police officer who's a North Haven resident. He's a big supporter of the agency. He's donated funding to outfit Canine Cyrus with a bullet-resistant and stab-resistant vest. It's very nice of him, very generous, and we should take delivery of the vest in 8 to 9 weeks.
Excellent. Thank you.
Are we gonna have any kind of little ceremony or?
We weren't planning a ceremony. We'll be sure to take pictures and certainly
Put it in
thank
the
him on our social media platforms. Regarding SWAT, we had a recent activation, as I'm sure you all aware of or heard about. Branford recently had an active shooter incident in which they asked for the assistance from the regional SWAT team. We responded and our team provided several rescues for officers as well as civilians that were pinned down and taking gunfire. They did a great job. As you know, Lieutenant Joe Wozniak from North Haven is the commanding officer of the regional SWAT team, and I was not there. After speaking to the leadership that was there, they said he did an outstanding job, which we wouldn't expect anything different, but it was a job well done by everyone involved, and there were a number of agencies involved. Regarding new personnel, a conditional offer of employment was given last month. A background investigation is underway. The individual who was given the conditional offer successfully passed the polygraph exam, took a psychological exam this morning, waiting for the results of that, and detectives are conducting a thorough background investigation for the rest of that process. As long as the components of the background investigation are met, and all the pre-employment requirements are met, he will begin the police academy at Post in June. We're currently advertising for an entry-level police position as well as a certified lateral police officer position. We're going to use CPCA as far as a written test. This time around, we're going to change it up and try a new agency. Anyone who's interested in applying can refer to Police App online, which is what all the agencies are using now. It's a very streamlined process as far as taking a test and applying to specific agencies. The deadline for applications is June 30th, and this is for an expected opening, not a current opening. So an expected opening that we can discuss further in an executive session. Under ISD and Uniform Services Division report with the recent events across the country, the criminal trial in Minneapolis, as well as the recent police-involved shootings, Captain Stervides has been monitoring social media, working with other local, state, and federal agencies to monitor any plans, protests, or events. We've been fortunate in North Haven. We haven't had a protest since fall of last year, and hopefully that continues, but he's keeping tabs on that. There's 2 recent arrests of note. There's been many arrests recently, but 2 of note out of the patrol division. Last month, Officer Burke conducted a motor vehicle stop on Washington Avenue. That investigation led to him finding narcotics, a stolen firearm, about $2,000 in cash, and packaging material for sale of narcotics. It was a nice arrest. Earlier this month, Officer Janosko conducted a motor vehicle stop on Quinnipiac Avenue. He also searched the vehicle and found an illegal firearm. So we're always happy when we take illegal firearms off the street. It's safer for the police as well as the public. Recently, we've been seeing a number of DNA hits come back from the state, more than normal. A number of these DNA test results have indicated North Haven suspects are tied to multiple crimes throughout the state. It's a good indication of the transient nature of the crimes that have been committed. Recently, there was somebody who was identified as a suspect in a North Haven stolen vehicle case that was tied to 20 other crimes throughout the state, from Hartford to Bridgeport and in between. So I think it's a good indication of the trends that we're seeing.
Just for the public, I was wondering if you could say DNA, what that might be.
What DNA actually stands for?
Yeah.
Do you want to help me out with that?
Oh,
I'm sorry. What would it mean?
Sure, it's there's a number of different types of DNA. We
Yeah.
can talk about it for hours. What we typically find when we process stolen vehicles is what's referred to as touch DNA. It's the
Yeah.
skin cells that come off of somebody who could be traced back.
Yeah.
to
Oh,
a
I didn't mean
specific person.
scientifically. Yeah.
So there's also, we could find DNA through blood, through saliva,
Yeah.
and a number of different ways. But
I just
typically
thought
the
people
process,
listening might think that we do DNA, so it's interesting.
yeah, so typically detectives will process the stolen vehicles once recovered. They'll submit the DNA evidence to the state
Yeah.
forensic laboratory, and they'll give us a report if there is a hit in the database.
Yeah, I didn't even know we did that. That's why I asked. So sorry, that was my
I thought you were looking for
naivete.
the scientific explanation.
No, I know you did. That was not it at all. No. I wouldn't understand.
He would ask and answer the same question anyway.
Yeah, you can answer that.
I don't know about that.
So again,
All right.
like last month, to give some perspective on year-to-date numbers, where we stand. This is January 1st, right up until today of this year compared to the same time period as last year. We've had 5 robberies this year compared to 3 last year. We've had 8 overdoses this year compared to 3 last year. 55 vehicle burglaries this year compared to 28. We've had 23 stolen vehicles this year compared to 7 last year. And our calls for service, we have 2,000 more calls for service this year compared to the same time period as last year. And like I said last month, if you take in consideration the low number of motor vehicle stops because of COVID and other reasons, it's pretty substantial as far as our numbers. Going into the warm months, I anticipate that we will continue to be busier than we have been in the past. I have one request for consideration for the Benary Scholarship, and that's from Captain Stavridis for 1 graduate level course.
I have a motion to
I'll make a
Say it.
motion
All right, go
to
ahead.
prove it.
take a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Other than that, I have just a few personnel matters for executive session.
Excellent. Any other comment by anybody, questions? Okay. Can I entertain a motion to adjourn from regular session for the purpose of executive session, personnel matters?
Make a motion to adjourn for, go to executive session.
Second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, we're now back into regular session. Do I have any questions, first of all, from anybody? None? No motions to be made? Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting tonight?
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 The preceding program is brought to you in part through a grant from the town of North Haven. Watch town meetings or other videos on demand at nhtv.com.